The Camry is a very significant model for Toyota. It's been in production since 1982 and have been the best-selling passenger vehicle in the United States from 1997 to 2020, except for 2001. However, in Japan, the sales of Camry will end this year after 43 years of producing it and selling it, and that is because of poor sales results. In this video, we will look at the history of Camry and welcoming the ninth generation of the global Toyota Camry model. Hey, it's LSFT here today, and today we're here to look at the details we've received on the ninth generation Camry. The Camry is important for Toyota. Since the launch of the US, they've actually sold over 13.6 million Camrys. And since the sedan segment have gone down over the years, in 2022, the Toyota Camry is still the number 2 best-selling non-truck vehicle. They're just under the RAV4. So Camry is still the best-selling sedan for 2022. If you're interested in knowing just the ninth generation Camry, you can skip over to the ninth generation using the chapter feature. And I believe someone you know have driven or owned a Camry themselves. I personally have owned 2 Camrys myself as well. So now let's look at the history of Camry and then we'll talk about the ninth generation. So the first generation Camry, codenamed V10, model year 1983 to 1986. It's a narrow body vehicle and they sold around this time range 426,286 vehicles. The Camry was codenamed V10 and it was available as a global market vehicle, and it had different powertrains for each market, so I'll be focusing on the North American market for this video. In the North American market, it got a 2-liter inline-4 engine, the 2S ELC, and between 1983 to 1985, it had a 92 horsepower and 113 pound-feet of torque. And in 1986, they retuned the engine and got a little bit more horsepower, 95 horsepower and 118 pound-feet of torque. And it was offered in a 5-speed manual or a 4-speed automatic. There was also a diesel version. It had a 1.8-liter turbo inline-4 1C TLC engine, and it was getting 73 horsepower and 104 pound-feet of torque with a 5-speed manual or a 4-speed automatic. It also had a 2-liter inline-4, the 2C TLC, getting 79 horsepower and 117 pound-feet of torque, and it was mated with a 4-speed automatic. So you can see back then, their vehicles actually had very small horsepower, but I think across the board, in the 1980s, cars were not like nowadays where we get a few hundred horsepower versus just now 79 or 80 or 90. The V20, it's a narrow body again, and it sold about 1.2 million vehicles. Between 1987 to 1991, a 2-liter inline-4, the 3S FE, producing 115 horsepower and 124 pound-feet of torque. Both were available in a 5-speed manual and a 4-speed automatic. There's a 2.5-liter V6, the 2VZ FE, and it produced around 153 to 156 horsepower and 155 to 160 pound-feet of torque. The third generation Camry, the XV10, between 1992 to 1996, it sold about 1.5 million copies of it. The car is no longer a narrow body, and it's been a widened body, and this is really because they've actually got influence from the LS400, which was launched a few years ago, which was a more wider body vehicle. It had a 2.2-liter inline-4, the 5S FE, 130 horsepower, and 145 pound-feet of torque. Had a 3-liter V6, the 3VZ FE, producing 185 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque. And then in 1993, to 1994 model year, they actually changed the V6 to the 1MZ FE, and that produced 194 horsepower and 209 pound-feet of torque. So you can see that even within the model years, the same generation, they would tweak the engines to produce better performance engines. Then we have the XV20, produced 1997 to 2001, and they sold about 2 million copies of them. The inline four, they had a 2.2 liter, the 5S FE, producing 133 horsepower and 147 pound-feet of torque. And then they had the 3-liter V6, the 1MZ FE, 194 horsepower and 209 pound-feet of torque. Then the next generation, the XV30. Between 2002 and 2006, they sold 2.1 million copies of this. And this is the first time there's no longer the Camry wagon. And because this is really related to all the minivans and the crossover SUVs starting to pick the pace, and the wagon was not significant again enough. This was built on a complete new platform, the Toyota K platform, and it had a 2.4 liter 2AZ FE inline 4, producing 154 horsepower and 162 pound-feet of torque. It also had a different variation of 3-liter V6 engines. It started off with 192 horsepower and then upgraded to 210 horsepower and 209 pound-feet of torque to 220 pound-feet of torque. And then later on in this generation, they introduced the 3.3-liter V6, producing 225 horsepower and 240 pound-feet of torque. So this generation, they did even more changes to the engines to really get probably better efficiency and better power. Follow me on Instagram at LSFT Videos. You can see updates on my experience with the NX450 Plus, which may not be shown on any future videos. You can also reach out to me via direct messaging if you have any questions on your Lexus. If you like this video, you can provide me feedback in the comments below, like this video, and share it with your friends. This definitely will help me with the YouTube algorithms. Press the subscribe button and bell icon and get notified when new videos show up. And lastly, if you want to support me further, you can provide me a super thanks, which is greatly appreciated. And now let's continue with the video. Now we move on to the 6th generation, the XV40, from 2007 to 2021, and they sold about 1.9 million of these vehicles. They had a 2.4 liter, the 2AZ FE, inline 4, 158 horsepower, and it had 5-speed automatic and manual availability. They also had a 3.5 liter 2GR FE 6-speed automatic, producing 268 horsepower. But then 2010 to 2011, the last 2 years after the mid-cycle refresh, they introduced the 2.5 liter 2AR FE with a 6-speed automatic, producing 169 horsepower on the LE, XLE, and the SC trim. They had 179 horsepower, and they had a 6-speed manual for the base model, and the rest were automatic. This generation is also significant because they introduced the first Camry hybrid using the 2nd generation Toyota Synergy drive. The 2AZ FXE producing 148 horsepower with a 30 kilowatt, 40 horsepower electric engine combining 188 horsepower. So this is the first electrified Camry being sold as a global market. The 7th generation Camry, the XV50, from 2012 to 2017, they sold about almost 2.5 million of these vehicles. Also offering now the hybrid at inline 4 and a V6. And it's 2.5 liter hybrid producing about 200 horsepower, so that's significantly more than the previous generation. And also the 2.5 liter inline 4 producing 178 horsepower and 170 pound-feet of torque. The 3.5 liter V6, 268 horsepower and 248 pound-feet of torque. It's a 6-speed automatic, and they no longer offer a manual transmission. The hybrid, again, it's the eCVT, and they continue to use the Toyota K platform. And last but not least, the 8th generation, the XV70. From 2018 to 2023, so we're saying that it'll end this year, they sold about 1.8 million copies year to date to 2023. And this is now not built on the K platform anymore, it's built on the TNGA, the GAK platform, which is very similar to the current generation Lexus and Toyota products. It has a 2.5 liter A25A FXS, 203 horsepower or 208 horsepower if you had the quad exhaust. It also had the same engine, the 2.5 liter hybrid producing 208 horsepower, and also a 3.5 liter V6 producing 301 horsepower. So you can see that the 3.5 liter has been tuned to be even more powerful, and overall, all these Camrys have increased in performance and also better in efficiency. So now we can see that the Camry has been evolved significantly from less than 100 horsepower to now up to 300 horsepower. And now we look at what is available on the 9th generation. The 2025 Toyota Camry 9th generation XV90 is no longer V6, so V6 is gone. And again, no gas only version as well, because it will be only a hybrid. It will be available in front wheel drive and all wheel drive, and depending if you're in the United States or Canada, you'll have different types of options. But the front wheel drive gives you 225 horsepower, whereas the all wheel drive will get you 232 horsepower. And it will be mated with an eCVT transmission. And it continues to use the TNGAK platform, so there's no change compared to 8th generation. From a safety perspective, Toyota Safety Sense 3.0 will be standard, includes pre-collision system, lane departure alert, dynamic radar cruise control, lane trace assist, road sign assist, automatic high beams, and proactive driving assist. Addition to the standard features, we have available safety features as well. Traffic jam assist, front cross traffic alert, lane change assist, front and rear parking assist with automatic braking, and panoramic view monitor. And most likely, when you look at the XLE and XSE trims, that's where you'll see these added in Canada and probably as a separate option in the United States. So what do you think about this new Camry? If you look at it from the top part, it looks like the Prius, but on the bottom part, it actually went back to the 8th generation and took very similar cues from the 8th generation and just put them together. From what I look at, it looks actually quite okay. And you can also see that the Toyota badge is no longer the badge, so that the radar cruise control, the radar is actually right under the Toyota badge. So this whole design from the TX and even from the Camry seems to be falling through. And from what I'm seeing, it looks very similar to the TX in some shape or form. So I'm not sure if it's actually blending the Toyota and the Lexus brands a little bit too close. But when you look at it, the Prius and the Camry smashed together looks like the front of this new Camry. What do you think about the design? Leave in the comments below and let me know. Exterior colors. There are two new colors. Ocean Gem, I believe that's the left color that we see on the screen right now, and Heavy Metal, the color we see on the right side. Then we have Ice Cap, Windshield Pearl, Celestica Silver Metallic Underground, Midnight Black Metallic, Supersonic Red, and Reservoir Blue. So those other colors are the same colors on the current generation Camry. What do you think about the two new colors? I actually like the Ocean Gem. That one seems to be quite unique. The SE model in Canada is the base model. You can get that in front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. And it has a 7-inch gauge cluster, 8-inch infotainment screen, a wireless device charger, dual-zone automatic climate control, heated front seats, and heated steering wheel. All these are part of the SE trim. And when you look at the SSE Canada trim, black trim on the trunk, you'll see a black lip and then a 19-inch wheels, midnight black metallic roof option, so you can actually have a black roof on the Ocean Gem, Windshield Pearl, Heavy Metal, and Supersonic Red color trims. And you also get the panoramic moonroof, a 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster, a 12.3-inch infotainment screen, and also the 9-speaker JBL sound system. The XLE is actually very similar to the XSE. The only difference you really get is that the interior seats actually have featured leather and microfiber seats, and they actually have some special patterns that you won't see on the XSE. And this is more like a more luxurious type of design versus a more sporty design compared to the XSE. And when you look at the XSC XLE in the US, it should be similarly equipped like Canada. It should have very similar specs. The one difference is the heated and ventilated seats would be an option, and I believe the heated steering wheel will be as well. The reason for that is not all states in the United States will need a heated steering wheel, so maybe we can cut some costs and actually not have to pay for something that you will never use. Imagine using a heated steering wheel in Arizona. And also the higher trims will get the acoustic laminated glass in the front side windows, which actually will help reduce wind noise in the cabin. So what do you think about this interior of the new Camry? I think it actually looks quite nice, and I'm quite surprised they actually didn't go to the Toyota bin and took the Prius gear shifter. They actually have a traditional shifter in this Camry, which I think a lot of you who hate that gear shifter probably would love this Camry shifter as well. Overall, when you look at it, I think this is actually a nice upgrade to the current generation, and it does feel that the tech is now up at par with other Toyota and Lexus products. However, they didn't really talk much about like the ambient lighting or what else is available in the Camry. So as we know that they'll probably release more information as we actually get more information in the future. But at this point, I think this is a lot of information on this Camry, and we can actually see the differences. There are some stuff that they did not include in this Camry, like safe exit assist. They did not change the door handles to be more electronic handles. So there's some stuff that still is not available on the Camry, but I think that's okay because not everybody wants those features. Overall, I think they've done a good job balancing between the new features and keeping the Camry intact. So people who like the Camry will not feel that it's way off, a big change that has happened, and they should see improvement overall, and it's the same type of car. From a side profile, I think you won't mistaken this as another vehicle. You will know that this is a Camry. And I think Toyota purposely did that, and I think they've done a quite good job there. And from the rear, I'm actually glad that they did not do a light bar, which I think not all vehicles need light bars. So even the Trend has light bars, the Camry stayed with the Camry, which I think they've done a good job as well, because I don't know a light bar would look nice on this design. So there we have it, the 9th generation 2025 Toyota Camry, and it will be available in dealerships around spring 2024. I hope that you found that this video was informative, and until next video, drive safely. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please comment, like, share this video, and if you want to see more videos like this, you can subscribe to my channel and press that bell icon to get notified when new videos are posted. And if you'd like to support this channel, you can provide me a super thanks. And until next time, cheers.